Welcome to episode 376 of the Postal Hub podcast. I'm Ian Kerr. Joining me in a moment is Lars Pruijn. He's Innovation Director at Prime Vision. We're going to talk about what innovation is, how you can manage it inside a company, the different forms of innovation that there are, and what it means in the broader logistics sector, and some of the interesting things that Prime Vision are doing when it comes to computer vision and innovation and all of that. So in this special discussion sponsored by Prime Vision, we've got Lars Pruijn, Innovation Director at Prime Vision. Joining me on the line is Lars Pruijn. Lars is the Innovation Director at Prime Vision. Lars, we're going to talk about innovation. It's a word that gets thrown around a lot in the delivery world, but I feel like it's a word that we have to say, we're innovating. Innovation is important to us, but we don't really know what innovation is. Is it painting something a different color or is it changing thinking? Let's start with this question. How do we define innovation?
Yes, well, of course, innovation, it's a bit a buzzword. And for me, innovation is about, let's say, the process of creating new ideas, new products, new methods to solve problems or add value in a new way. So that's a bit my definition of innovation.
So solving problems, adding value, but who then, if you're listening to this podcast and you're a postal operator or a private parcel operator, who takes responsibility for innovation? Is it a team? Is it the entire? Who is it?
Yes, that's a very interesting question. So I think that in companies, the whole company is always responsible for innovation. So it's not an innovation team that is responsible for the innovation of a company. It should be every employee of the company that's responsible for innovation. That doesn't mean that you don't have an innovation team. I think that's the right approach to have an innovation team, but it's not the sole responsibility of the innovation team to be responsible as a company.
So let's look at this from an internal perspective then first of all. What is internal innovation, Lars?
Well, I think when it's about internal innovation, it's about having a good look at your internal processes, at the way of working, and figuring out how to optimize those processes and this cooperation to be more effective, to increase the quality of the way of working. So that's more the internal part. And I think in most companies, innovation is more focused at the product. So let's say the external innovation. And what we do as a company at Prime Vision is then that we define 3 different types of innovation for this product innovation or external innovation. So the first one is core innovation. And that's more or less about keeping our current products and services competitive. So adding new technology to the existing products or improving quality or functionalities. So that's what we call core innovation. And then the second category is adjacent innovation, and that's more about growth through new products and services in adjacent areas. So providing new solutions or functionalities with the existing product. So for instance, in a new market, enter a new market with your more or less existing products, or reshaping your product to create new solutions. So that's more about adjacent innovation. And then we have the transformative information, how we call it. And that's a bit more rare. So what our definition is transformative innovation is about is about information that could be disruptive for a specific market or segment. So it doesn't happen often. And we need to be very clear about this. So transformative is very rare because it really needs to be disruptive. But we try doing so. And what we also do, and it's a well-known model, it's a common model with the core innovation, adjacent and transformative. A lot of companies apply that. I think that's a good approach. It's about, let's say, 60-70% of all the innovation effort should go to the core innovation. So should be about optimizing your products and keeping them very competitive. And then you should spend, let's say, 20 to 30% of your time to adjacent innovation, so searching for really new things. But also, and that's a bit further, so you should spend 10-20% of your time on transformative innovations. It should be a balanced approach.
In all of this, though, how do you stimulate innovation? I guess that's a question that a lot of people at a high level. So how can we stimulate innovation in our organisation? Do you have any sort of insights or tips you can share with us there?
Yes, well, honestly, it is rather difficult because so at our company we have an innovation team, but we believe that innovation is a joint responsibility of the whole team, what I already mentioned. But how to involve them? And I think it's about a combination of factors. So it's about inspiring the people regarding new technologies, inspiring them regarding trends in the markets. But that's, of course, not good enough. We aim for cooperating together with all kinds of colleagues within the company regarding new innovations. And for instance, every once in a while, we do an MVP project. So that's a minimum viable product. We always aim for doing that together with a customer. So when we are having conversations with our customers every once in a while, a specific topic or a problem or a specific chance occurs, and then we think, oh, this could be very interesting for doing an MVP. And then we communicate internally and ask other people, other colleagues of us, to join in such an MVP. It's on a voluntary basis. And then they got the chance to do something completely different and to work on something like this. And of course, the outcome is not certain. It could also be a failure, but then it's also a success. So we try to involve people within the company by inspiring them, but also by cooperating with them in innovative projects.
And you've been talking about this cooperative approach internally. You mentioned very briefly earlier about cooperating with clients as well. And so perhaps we can just talk a bit about that. And you might even share a bit of sort of what Prime Vision is doing in its own innovation with the technology that you're working with. So can you just share a bit about this idea of cooperation with clients, or even is it just clients or potential clients, and the kinds of things that you're looking at innovating at the moment?
Yes, well, I think it's very important to cooperate and innovate together with existing customers or potential customers, and not to, let's say, innovate in the basement of the company. And I think I want to apply this approach because I think it's the most effective way of innovating. And why is it effective? Because you receive direct feedback from the customer regarding the solution. And this feedback could, of course, also be negative. And then it's about, let's say, failing fast. So once you have an idea, it could be a very interesting idea from our perspective. But perhaps in real life and in the operational processes, it doesn't make any sense. And we are not aware of it then. So that's why it's very important to do it together with customers. And that's what we are aiming for. I think there's one nice example, and that's a project that we did together with one of our customers. They had a problem. They have these huge sorting machines, those crossbelt sorters, and those crossbelt sorters, they run in a casing. And it happens a lot that very small parcels, flats, or some hazardous debris, like those plastic straps, they end up underneath the sorter in the casing, and it could be very potentially dangerous for the sorter, but of course it's also a quality issue because those parcels, they end up there and they won't be at the customer the next day. So the site engineers, every once in a while, they remove this casing to see whether there's there are some hazardous debris or small parcels, and it takes a lot of effort. There's also some other negative effects. So we had a discussion about it, and then we thought, oh, well, this could be a very interesting topic for an MVP. So then we started doing an MVP together with them, and then it's really in cooperation with each other. So, okay, so what is our goal? What are we aiming for? What could be our approach? And then in the end, we created a solution just in a few weeks, in 6 or 8 weeks, where we mounted just a simple camera underneath the cards that inspects the casing of the sorter, and automatically with our computer vision technology detects the hazardous debris and the small parcels, and also maps the exact positioning of this debris or these parcels in a map of the sorter. So the site engineers, they know directly, okay, there I need to remove the casing because there's something there. And I think that's a very nice approach. So really doing it together in just a few weeks to keep it small and simple, also to be able to pull the plug when it's not successful. So I think that's a very nice example of how we want to innovate together with customers.
Tell us a bit more really about this computer vision, because I know you're doing a bit of innovation work with the computer vision technology. So what can you share with us there? Some of the things that you're looking at with regard to looking at with computer vision. Listen to me. Some of the things you're looking at with computer vision, please.
Yes. So, well, one thing we are working on, and I can also explain a bit in terms of from the innovation perspective and way of working. So currently we're working on a proof of sort functionality. So we all know these huge sorting machines. They have all these chutes, and at the end of the chutes, the parcels, they end up in the chutes, and then at the end of the chutes, an operator picks the parcel out of the chute and places them in a specific cage. And every chute quite often has 5, 6, 7 different cages, and they all have a different destination. So it's more or less a manual sorting process there. And currently, so we thought that it would be a very nice solution to have a computer vision based solution that verifies whether the parcel has been placed in the right cage. So create a computer vision solution that detects sorting errors. And of course, you can also do it with manual scans. So scan the parcel and then again scan the cage. Then you add scanning moments. It's not very ergonomic. It's not very efficient. So we thought, okay, this could be a very efficient approach to solve this problem with the sorting errors. So then we envision this case, and what we do is create a demo. So just in our own lab, create a setup, and then just do it. And then we have something to show, and then we go to our customers and to potential customers, and then have a discussion with these customers. And then we say, well, is this really a problem in your process? And could this be a solution for this problem? And then you have a good conversation with these companies, and then you can fine tune. And then it's an iterative process. Or it could also be the case that all those companies say, well, it's not a problem for us. And then we pull the plug, and then we stop, and then we do something differently. But for instance, in this case, a lot of companies think it's a very interesting approach for this solution. And then we try to cooperate with potential customers or with existing customers to do a proof of concept or a pilot in their process to actually validate the technology and the functionality.
What about hazardous materials and detecting, or hazmat detection, or whatever we call it these days? Is there a role for computer vision in that?
Yes, so it's already in our let's say current existing portfolio for a very long time. So we have very sophisticated computer vision technology for hazmat detection, and also for reading extremely difficult barcodes that are partly blocked or crumpled. So that's already in our current portfolio. Yes.
So Lars, now looking for the present and the immediate future, what's Prime Vision's current focus when it comes to innovation and new technology?
Well, currently we are specifically focusing on developing new functionalities and new solutions with computer vision technology. For instance, also in the scene understanding and action recognition area, and that's because of our strong background in computer vision technology, but also because of the very rapidly evolving technology in computer vision currently. The AI technology is improving very rapidly, and also the GPUs and the hardware, it's becoming very accessible. So we really focus on developing new computer vision solutions in the logistics area, because we think that there's a lot of room for improvement, a lot of opportunities for optimizing these operational processes using computer vision technology.
And it's so competitive in logistics and delivery at the moment, almost like you have to squeeze every last bit of efficiency out of the system, don't you?
Yes, absolutely. It is a low margin business. We all know it. It is about being very efficient, and absolutely, and that really connects to each other. So it's not only about efficiency, but it's also about quality, because also high quality leads to a better efficiency, of course.
And there's a huge demand from the end recipient. Like you were saying before, you can't just have a parcel go missing in a delivery centre and, it's fallen off a belt. Well, so you've got to find it somehow, haven't you? You know it's going into the centre. It hasn't gone out. Anyway, I'll start evangelising on this if I get too carried away. Lars, we've covered quite a bit of territory talking about innovation, Prime Vision's approach to innovation, and some examples of this co-creation model, I think you called it, when you're working with customers or even potential customers to look at how you can develop solutions. If anyone wants to get in contact with you or the team at Prime Vision, or just wants to find out more, what should they do?
You mentioned co-creation, and I also did that a few times. So I'm really about co-creating when it's about innovation. So I would say when you have a specific idea regarding new technologies, or an idea regarding optimizing operational processes with the newest technologies, please contact me, and I'm always extremely willing to have a good discussion, have a look at the operational process, and find out whether we can create something very nice.
I'll put some details on the episode page on how you can get in contact with Lars and the team at Prime Vision. So if you're out walking the dog, lazing on a beach, skiing, I don't know, whatever you're doing when you're listening, could you listen to a podcast while you're skiing? I'm not sure. I'm not a skier. Anyway, go to the episode page on thepostalhub.com and you'll find details there on how to get in contact with Lars and the team at Prime Vision. Lars Pruijn, Innovation Director at Prime Vision, thank you very much for joining us on the Postal Hub podcast today.
Thank you.
Coming soon on the Postal Hub podcast, Dr. Selena Silvestri, research scientist at the MIT Centre for Transportation and Logistics, will join us to talk about e-commerce packaging, and Roel Gevaars, the professor in last mile logistics and supply chain at the University of Antwerp, will join us to talk about recent developments in Europe regarding low-value cross-border parcels. Don't miss any of these great interviews coming up on the Postal Hub podcast. Subscribe to the podcast in your favourite podcast platform, or even one that you're not really that in love with but you use anyway. While you're subscribing, do leave a rating, like a 5-star rating. That'd be ace. Thanks. Do people say ace anymore? Has it come back into fashion and gone out of fashion again? Does anybody care? I don't think I do. What else? You can subscribe to one of my great email newsletters. Let's stick with the hubris, shall we? No hubris? What is it? I'm over-egging things a little bit. I've got the Daily Delivery Digest. You've got the weekly newsletter, which comes out whenever there's a new episode of the Postal Hub podcast. And there's my monthly Post Office Digest email as well. Go to thepostalhub.com, follow the links to subscribe there. Or if you can't work it out, email me. My email address is ian@thepostalhub.com. I'm Ian Kerr. Thanks for listening in, and I look forward to your company next time on the Postal Hub podcast.